Hello everybody, my name is Maria and I'm the Creative Italian and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a really easy project and it's this wire wrapped crystal pendant. But before I get started, if you like any of my videos, if you'll give me the thumbs up, it'll really help me grow my channel and YouTube will use the algorithm to let more people know that I'm here. Might be people that are looking for what I have to offer. And also, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video or a shorts video, just hit the subscribe button and YouTube will let you know as soon as that happens. If you have any questions, comments, need some help on a project, just leave that in the comments. I always respond in 24 hours or less, unless YouTube doesn't send me the notification that I have something to respond to. That's only happened twice in 2.5 years that I've been on here, so it's been really good. And I found those like months later, like months and months later. So I don't like for that to happen. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours and you need a question answered or you need some help, go ahead and put it in the comments again. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so these are the tools I'll be using to make this pendant. In this particular pendant, I did use 18 gauge wire, although you can use 16 gauge wire. And this is the wire that I use by Beadsmith. This is 16, this is 18. I'm probably going to use the 18 gauge wire. And also, I'm going to be using the 24 gauge wire by Parawire. 13 6mm crystals, although it doesn't have to be crystals, you guys. It can be, it can be pearls or, anything that, pearls or beads. Doesn't have to be crystals. Okay, the tools that I'll be using are wire cutters, needlepoint chain nose pliers. They call them needlepoint pliers sometimes. Round nose plier, nylon pliers, flat nose pliers, and a pair of bent nose pliers. I will also be using a ruler, a hammer, a bench block, and I'll be using this bracelet mandrel, although you don't have to. If you don't have a mandrel, it's absolutely not necessary. As long as you have something around the house that's round, it could be a jar, it could be a small bottle, and that would work absolutely just fine. Okay, so here we go. I just want to show you how to use a nylon, how I use the nylon pliers. One of the applications I use for when I want to straighten the wire off the spool easily. I use the nylon pliers, especially when I want to get it as straight as possible so that when I measure it, it's an accurate measurement. So the nylon pliers are handy for a lot of other applications as well, but I can't get into that in this tutorial. But at least I could show you guys how handy it is to have this tool, especially when you're working with really heavy gauge wire. And see, it's curved just a little bit in my right hand right there, but all I have to do is just take it and smooth it out just a little bit, and there you go. Now, I've already pre-cut my wire. I did it the day I did the other pendant to make sure they were the same size, and it's actually 7 inches of wire that I'm using for this size pendant. So I already have it done. Now, I changed my mind about using the mandrel or anything round to create the shape. It's just not necessary. I know I'm changing horses in the middle of the stream here, but it just isn't necessary. And this is such an easy project that I want to keep it as simple and easy and straightforward as possible. So after I cut the wire, I put a finger on each end and I just, take my fingers, as you could see, and bring them towards each other. And then I just keep doing that until those ends cross over each other and make an X. And see, as you can see, it's already creating my oval shape here. And that's just about the right size, it looks like. Yep, I think that's going to work. Okay, so now I am going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to take one of them. It doesn't matter which one you use. Which one I bend, but I'm going to do the one on the right side. I'm just going to take the pliers and bend that wire straight up, like so. Straight up, just like that. Okay? After I've done that, I am going to, well, it just keeps slipping away from me, you guys, but we want to maintain that X at the neck right there and just keep it nice and firm. And I'm going to grab it right where the bend is. Yep, I just need to come up just a little bit more. There you go, a little bit more. Okay, and just hold that down, and now I'm going to take the other one and bend it straight out, straight down or out, over to my left. How about that? That is going to be the piece that I'm going to wrap around the other one that I bent. And I'm going to wrap that around about 2 to 3 times. It's great because I could just use my fingers working with the 18 gauge wire. Now sometimes you might want to use the bent nose pliers to do this, or another pair of chain nose pliers. But with the 18 gauge and the 20 gauge, I find, I could just use my fingers. I could just, and it works out great. Now sometimes I'll go in there and squeeze those wraps together if I have a little bit of space in between the wraps, just to kind of tighten it up and neaten it up a little bit, because sometimes that can happen. And then that little piece right there, that's going to be cut with my flush cutters or not chain nose pliers, but my wire cutters right there. And then take my pliers and just press that in really good so it doesn't snag a shirt or scrape somebody's skin. And when I check it, I make sure that everything feels really smooth on my fingers, and then I know for sure that it's all good to go. So anyway, that's how I do that. Now, this loop needs to be a bigger size than the loop on the other pendant I made. That one's just a little small. You could get a little tiny chain through it and that would be okay, right? But also see that it's facing the loop is facing to the side, not the hole is not facing towards me, it's facing to the side of the pendant. So it makes it easy to take a cord and just run it through, and it could just hang straight from the cord or the chain or whatever. Now on this one, I'm probably going to use about a 1/2 inch of wire. Yep, about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to use my round nose pliers on the largest part, which is towards the back of the pliers. I'm going to just slide it all the way to the back. That's where it's the largest. And just turn it. And just keep turning until I get my loop right there, just like that. So easy to do. Now, as you can see, the loop is bent just a little bit, but that's okay. Just take my chain nose pliers and just rearrange it where I want it to be so it's more straight up and down. Just like that. There you go. Sometimes it just takes a little tweaking when you're working with wire. And that's just kind of how it is, right? That's what I have found anyway. So there, I think that's a good size right there. And just needs a little bit more tweaking right there before I move on to the next phase of the project. And as you can see, it's a little narrower, but that's okay. The wire does change a little bit as we're working on it. So the beautiful thing about it is I can take my hands, go in there, take my fingers and just readjust the wire and just, make small tweaks to the shape of the wire. And that's just part of wire working. So here I'm using a hammer and a bench block for two things. One, to harden the wire, and two, to create some texture on the wire. And I'm going to do this on both sides until I get it about the way I want it. And I just use a very gentle tapping motion. And there you go. Real easy to do. You can see that nice texture. Okay, for this first set of beads, crystals right here, go. For the first set right here, these three, I'm going to roll off the 24 gauge hair wire. I'm going to roll off probably about 8 inches. It's probably way more than what I need. But you know what? I don't want to run out. So I always use more than what I need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take one end and wrap it around just a few times towards the neck right here, just towards the neck, just to kind of get it started. And then I'm going to take let me back up here just a minute. I'm going to take this and use my chain nose pliers to wrap it around because it makes it tighter and it's not sliding around all over the place. Let me see, how many wraps did I do? Yeah, about 6. Yeah, I think this probably has about 6 or 8 wraps, you know. See, it's still going to slide just a little bit, you know, until I tighten it up, you know, completely. So what I like to do is just hold it with my chain nose pliers once I start wrapping it, and just kind of holds it in place and keeps things from sliding up and down. I thought I had it tight enough right there when I started, but I didn't, you guys. So yeah, just wrap it around a little bit and then use the chain nose pliers to get it going so it's not slipping and sliding. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to flip it upside down. I probably have about 8 wraps on there, something like that. And I do like to keep it as evenly wrapped on each one that I do, just because it just looks nicer. Cut that little end and then use my chain nose pliers to smash that in so it doesn't scratch anybody. And then also, before I start wrapping on the other side, I take my chain nose pliers and I just press down gently on both sides so it keeps it nice and sturdy, and I can push it up just a little bit. It keeps it nice and sturdy and just keeps things from sliding all over the place. And I think that's in there pretty good. Well, let me just give it one more try here. Maybe not as I thought. I may have not pressed it as much as I thought I did. Okay, so now I'm going to add 3 crystals to this end at one time, just like that. Right here. And then here. Just like that. Slide them down. Excuse me for just a second. I bent the wire. If you bent the wire on the ends, the crystals, the beads will not travel. Okay, so right here, I'm going to come down at an angle, and I'm going to just start wrapping again and just try and keep it as tight as I possibly can. And before I start really wrapping, I like to squeeze that down just a little bit. Now see, this is moving. It shouldn't be, but it is, you guys. So I want to tighten that down just a little bit. And I think that almost got it. It's not hard to do. It's not just because I went over it several times. Believe me, it is not hard to do that. It's just that for some reason while I'm on camera, sometimes things just don't always flow like they do when I'm not on camera. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If I'm sniffling, you guys, it's because it is cold in Atlanta and my sinuses run like crazy when the weather changes, so I apologize for that. Okay, so you see what I did? I got 8 wraps and I pushed it up together just like that and squeezed on it. And now I'm going to come here and take my wire cutters and just press that down really good. And I like to press all the way around to make sure I get it nice and tight, and so the beads don't start sliding around. So that's the first row. For the second row, I'm going to be using 6mm crystals, and I'm going to roll off about, and this is like I said, 24 gauge parawire, copper parawire, and I'm going to roll off 9 inches for this. Just like that. And then I'm going to start here at the bottom and work my way up to, and I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be working from right to left on this one. So here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take a piece, this end of the wire, and just kind of get it started. There, like that. And I like to use my, some people call it needle point, some call it chain nose pliers. I call them chain nose pliers. And I'm just going to wrap that around just to get that kind of going there, just like I did, you know, on the other areas that I'm working on. Just press that around and then squeeze on it just a little bit, press on it, hold it down with my chain nose pliers here, kind of hold it down, and then just start wrapping again. It's going to be about 8 wraps, like so. And I like to make sure that they stack up on top of each other, you know, that they're not, so I don't have one wrap on top of each other. As you can see, I just like to kind of check it as I go along. So I need about 2 more wraps here, looks like. And actually with the parawire, I could just take my finger too and just kind of push up on it, because you know, it's not so terribly, you know, stiff and all that. So I could just sort of press down like so. And now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut it here on that long piece, and then take my chain nose pliers and push that in so it's not going to scratch anybody. We don't want that. And then press down again all the way around just to keep it nice and firm there. And now I can add on my other beads, and I'm going to go across and wrap up to this other side, and it'll look like I'm traveling almost in a straight line, but after I get done, I just take the wire and just bend it and shape it like that, okay? That's what I'm going to be doing, but I'll show you that here. I'm probably getting ahead of myself here just a little bit, but okay, so we got 6 beads here, or crystals, on this second row. Well, this one's got a little bit different shape to it, doesn't it? A little bit more rounded. That's okay. No big deal about that. You know what's great is I was thinking about this while I was making this. To use small pearls would be gorgeous for a pendant for a wedding. a bride. Oh, I just think it'd be gorgeous. Okay, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so see, I'm up here. I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm not gonna start wrapping yet, but I'm gonna just push that down just a little bit so it kind of falls into a curve like I did on this one. To see, now this one, it's more curved, but you know what? Every time I make something, it's never going to be exact, right? It's just not going to be because it's handmade. All right, so when I get there, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it again, and I'm going to wrap towards the neck of the pendant. So, am I in the camera? Gosh, I got to keep making sure I'm in the camera here, you guys. Oh, hang on just one second. My beads are getting away from me. And again, before I start, I like to kind of squeeze on that just a little bit. And then just keep coming through until I have about 8 wraps. And I can use my chain nose pliers too to kind of pull it through just a little bit. And then just from time to time, I just like to take it and squeeze on it just a little bit. It helps make it more secure. And, you know, I find as I'm wrapping, I have space in between the wraps. And so I just take my chain nose pliers and just squeeze on it just a little bit, just to keep everything lined up and neat looking, you know. What am I doing? Okay. What am I doing? Yeah, what am I doing, you guys? Teaching you how to do this pendant. I hope I succeed. I'm sure I will. I hope you all really enjoy this and that you'll make it. And you can come up with so many ideas too, you know. As far as your wire, they've got all kinds of colored wire out there, all kinds of beads and pearls. You can make it any size you want. You don't have to make it this size, right? You can make it round, you can make it oval, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, whatever, you know, your creativity takes you. Okay, so here I'm going to snip that off and squeeze that in and just kind of take that and just squeeze on it all the way around so it's nice and firm, just like that. Yep. Okay, so there you go. There is the second row. All right, now we go to the last row here, and that will be 4 crystals. All right, so this is the last part of this design. And for these 4, I'm gonna measure out, again, 8 inches of the 24 gauge copper parawire, like that. And I'm gonna start right below this green crystal here. And again, I'm just using my hand just to kind of get it started there a little bit. And what you can do, absolutely, you don't have to use a pair of chain nose pliers, but you know, it does make it get around there a little tighter, I find, especially in tight places like this. I kind of have big fingers. So if you have big fingers, long fingers like I do, sometimes it's just easier to use the chain nose pliers or needle point pliers to get you to where you want to go. And I'm just going to pull that out just for a second and sort of squeeze that down just a little bit. Whoop, I lost my beads here. Lost my crystals. Let me get them back over here so they're lined up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna take that and squeeze it together a little bit before I continue wrapping. And then, of course, I'm gonna cut this little tip right here. Another thing, too, that I tend to do is when I cut the ends, I try to make it so that they're all on the same side, the back side, whatever I choose for it to be. On this pendant, either side can be the back side, right? So I make sure that the cut pieces are all on the same side of the pendant. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to squeeze that down a little bit and just press down. And I can still see that little piece. Okay, so now it's time to start wrapping. Just a few more. I'm going to hold it. Yep, it wants to move. Okay, so I'm just going to start wrapping, and I'm going to have about 6 to 8 wraps up in here, just like I did the other ones, anywhere between 6 and 8. And just as long as they're mainly pretty even all the way throughout, it just aesthetically, you know, it just looks a whole lot better. Like that. Let's see. And there I go. I'm just about done here. Parawire is fantastic wire to work with, you guys. It really is. It's so easy to work with. It's real flexible, and you know it's pretty sturdy and strong, you know. Okay, so I'm going to do one more because I want to cut it on the opposite side again, like I did. Oh no, I can't cut it on the opposite side. What am I saying? Y'all just ignore me. I got to put the crystals on first before I cut it. Jeez. Okay. Make sure that's in there good. Okay. And then I'm going to add my crystals right here. And I'm adding 4. And then I'm going to, all I'm going to do, all I'm going to do is allow my crystals to drop off the the wire as I put them on. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we are. And one thing too is after I get done with a row, I can kind of shape the wire just like I did with this one. You know, I shaped it in a curve. And in this one here, you'll see that I shaped it in a curve as well. I lost a bead, you guys. Where is the other bead? Oh, we'll just use this one. It's supposed to be 4. Okay. That's not going on for some reason. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's my last row. I'm going from left to right, and then I'll just start taking it and wrapping my 6 to 8 wraps right there. Just like that. And again, I like to squeeze them together as I go along. If I start getting a little space between the wraps. And there I go. Yep. And again, flipping it over. And then taking my chain rose pliers and squeezing that down real good so we don't have any problems with it catching in a blouse or a sweater, or, oh, that would be awful. And you know what? I'm really, really careful about things like that when I'm making jewelry. I mean, I double, and triple check it, believe me. Okay, so see here, I can just kind of curve this. I could just kind of curve it in the opposite direction, just like I did with this one here, you know, or I can just leave it straight. It doesn't really matter. You know, actually it works better just being straight because it fits in there. It fits in there just a little bit better. But anyway, now see, I was just able to slide that up and give it a little bit more room there. Okay, so anyway, that is how all that works together, and I hope that you'll give it a try. You know, I think it turned out really good, and you know, each one that you make is going to look a little different. Why? Because maybe the wire is going to be different, maybe it's going to be a little wider, maybe it's going to be a little narrower. You know, there's a lot of things that change things around a little bit. That's why if we paint an apple 10 times the same way, it always looks different, right? So that's the beauty of making things like this. They all have their own unique look. Okay, well, I hope you love it like I do. Alrighty. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and that you'll give it a try and let your creativity take off. As you can see, there's so many ways of making that pendant with all the different colors of wire and beads, and you can just have a whole lot of fun with it. Okay, so if you like this tutorial, my video, or any of my videos, would you give it a thumbs up? Because it'll really help me grow my channel, and YouTube will find more people that might be looking for what I have to offer. If you want to know when I upload a new shorts or a new video, all you gotta do is hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, again, leave it down below. I respond in 24 hours or less. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours or less, please put it back in the comments, because that means that I just didn't get the notification from YouTube, which is very rare that happens. It's only happened twice in 2.5 years. So anyway, so I will be back. It's almost the holidays. So I've got some really great projects coming up for the holidays that you could do for yourself or as Christmas gifts. So I'll be back. In the meantime, check out my other videos that I have on here for wire wrapping jewelry. Okay, I'll be back. Bye, guys.